Did you know that Canada, a country known for its stunning landscapes and peaceful lifestyle, is making it nearly impossible for many of its citizens to leave? Sounds unbelievable, right? But for countless Canadians, moving away isn't as simple as packing a suitcase. Instead, it's become a financial nightmare, filled with unexpected costs and impossible choices. Imagine living in a place where the cost of living keeps climbing, owning a home feels out of reach, and the government demands taxes on things you haven't even profited from. For thousands of Canadians, this isn't just a bad dream, it's their daily reality. Here's the surprising part. Even if you decide to leave, you could face an exit tax on unrealized gains, money you've never actually seen. Selling everything and starting fresh in another country might still mean handing over a large chunk of your assets to the government. So why is it so hard to leave Canada? And why are many of the country's most successful people searching for a way out? In the next few minutes, we'll uncover the shocking reasons why leaving Canada feels like an impossible task, and what it all means for the future of its citizens. Stick around because at the end, we'll reveal a surprising twist about life in Canada that you won't want to miss. Leaving Canada might sound like a simple process, but for many, it comes with a harsh financial wake-up call: the exit tax. Imagine owning a small business or a family home that has grown in value over the years. As noted by the Canadian government, even if you haven't sold a single share or moved out, the government calculates what's called unrealized gains. This is the increase in value of your property, business, or investments, essentially money you haven't touched but still owe taxes on. For example, let's say you built a business worth $1 million. You're proud of your hard work and want to relocate to a country with lower taxes. However, the moment you decide to cut ties with Canada, the government treats it as though you've sold everything at a profit, even if no actual sale happened. The result? You're slapped with a hefty tax bill, and if you don't have the cash on hand to pay, you might be forced to sell assets you worked years to build. This law disproportionately impacts high earners and business owners, effectively punishing success. Many Canadians have found themselves unable to leave simply because the cost of exit taxes outweighs the potential benefits of moving abroad. For some, the choice becomes clear: stay put or lose it all. What makes this even more troubling is how few people know about it until they're already planning their move. It's like discovering a locked door right when you're ready to step outside. For many, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a financial cage. If you think escape sounds tough now, wait until you hear about Canada's housing market. According to the Economic Times, owning property in Canada has become a distant dream for the average person. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, even modest homes often cost over $1 million. And those $1 million properties, they're not sprawling estates. They're often small, aging houses in need of major repairs. What's causing this crisis? It's a tangled web of foreign investment, housing shortages, and rising costs. Investors buy up properties, driving up demand and prices, while the supply of affordable homes remains shockingly low. For everyday Canadians, this means having to choose between renting indefinitely or settling for homes far below their expectations. But renting isn't a walk in the park either. Rent prices are soaring, with families cramming into tiny apartments or sharing spaces with multiple households just to make ends meet. The dream of a spacious home for growing families has turned into a desperate search for something, anything, livable. Here's where it gets even harder. The housing crisis doesn't just trap people in Canada, it also blocks their path to leaving. Moving to another country often requires selling your current property, but in a market this unpredictable, selling at the right time feels impossible. And even if you manage to sell, the proceeds might not stretch far enough in your new destination. For many Canadians, the housing market feels less like a ladder to climb and more like quicksand pulling them down. Let's shift gears to another hurdle: taxes. Canada's tax system is one of the highest in the world, and while it supports social programs like healthcare and education, it leaves many feeling drained. The progressive structure, where higher earners pay more, may sound fair on paper, but in reality, it creates a system that often discourages success. For example, if you're a business owner or a high-income professional, you could be paying over 30% of your earnings in personal income tax, depending on your province, and that's before considering corporate taxes. Imagine putting in countless hours to grow your business, only to feel like the government takes a larger share than you do. As stated by CPA Canada, this tax burden drives many successful Canadians to look elsewhere. Countries like Switzerland or the United States offer more business-friendly policies, including lower taxes and incentives to reinvest profits. The appeal of keeping more of what you earn is strong, and for those who can afford it, relocating becomes a serious consideration. But here's the twist. The very tax system that pushes people to leave also makes it difficult to do so. With exit taxes, ongoing obligations for Canadian-sourced income, and complex regulations, it feels like the system is designed to keep you tethered. For many, the taxation trap isn't just financial, it's emotional. It makes them question whether staying in Canada is worth the price they're paying. Now, let's talk about money, specifically the Canadian dollar. Compared to stronger currencies like the US dollar, the Canadian dollar struggles to hold its value. This disparity impacts nearly every aspect of life, especially for those looking to leave the country. South China Morning Post noted that to earn your income in Canadian dollars, only to see it shrink when converted into another currency. At an exchange rate of roughly 1 USD to 1.4 Canadian dollars, every dollar earned in Canada feels significantly less valuable abroad. This weak purchasing power makes it harder to invest, save, or even plan a comfortable future outside Canada. For instance, a Canadian investor with assets priced in US dollars loses a chunk of their value every time they convert those assets back to Canadian dollars. This erosion of wealth isn't just frustrating, it's a major obstacle for anyone considering a move. And let's not forget the psychological impact. Seeing your hard-earned money lose value simply because of where you live can be disheartening. Beyond personal finances, the weak dollar affects international travel, business deals, and even purchasing imported goods. The constant volatility creates uncertainty, making it harder to feel financially secure. For many Canadians, this isn't just about currency, it's about stability. And when stability feels out of reach, the allure of moving to a country with a stronger economy becomes even harder to resist. Despite its challenges, Canada remains a land of natural beauty, safety, and universal healthcare. But for many, these benefits are overshadowed by the mounting financial pressures. The high cost of living, combined with limited economic opportunities, has led many to question whether the trade-offs are worth it. Take the housing market, taxes, and weak currency, and add to that the feeling of being stuck in a system that punishes ambition. For business owners and high-income earners, it often feels like their hard work is met with penalties rather than rewards. Even for those with moderate incomes, the rising cost of essentials like housing and food leaves little room for financial growth. Meanwhile, other countries offer a different promise. Lower taxes, more affordable housing, and greater economic freedom make places like the US, Europe, or even parts of Asia look incredibly attractive. The idea of keeping more of what you earn, owning a larger home, or simply having more financial breathing room pulls people toward the exit. But here's the catch. Leaving isn't just about money. It's also about the emotional connection to a country that, despite its flaws, feels like home. For many, the decision to leave isn't just a financial calculation, it's a deeply personal one. If you're finding this discussion eye-opening, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth content. Your support helps us uncover stories that matter and share them with viewers like you. And don't forget to leave a comment below. What's your take on Canada's financial challenges? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Canada is often praised for its robust education system, but the financial reality for students and families tells a different story. According to Canadian publication, post-secondary education in Canada is increasingly becoming a burden, not a stepping stone. Tuition fees for domestic students average around $6,800 per year, while international students can face costs upwards of $30,000 annually. And that's just tuition. Books, housing, transportation, and other necessities easily add thousands more to the yearly bill. Imagine this, you're a family striving to give your child a future, but the sheer cost of higher education leaves you drained. Even with student loans, the path forward is steep. Graduates often face decades of repayment, with high interest rates eating into their financial stability. Instead of starting their careers with optimism, they're weighed down by debt. Now, think about Canadians who want to move abroad. Relocating often requires even more financial gymnastics. Education credentials may need to be reevaluated or retaken in the new country, leading to additional costs. Families with children might find themselves paying exorbitant international school fees. This creates a vicious cycle. Parents stay in Canada to fund their children's education, and children remain to avoid the complications of transferring their studies. For many, the idea of leaving becomes an unattainable dream, as the weight of education costs ties them to a country they increasingly feel they can't afford. While Canada's education system may shine on paper, its financial barriers cast a long shadow, keeping many families anchored in place, unable to explore new opportunities abroad. Canada's healthcare system is a point of national pride, but its limitations reveal challenges that many don't anticipate. Yes, basic medical care is publicly funded, but that doesn't mean it's entirely free. Services like dental care, prescription drugs, vision care, and mental health counseling are not covered under the public plan. This leaves many Canadians paying out of pocket or relying on expensive private insurance. Reports from Independent Institute shows that someone with chronic illnesses or specialized healthcare needs, these additional costs can quickly add up. Imagine needing essential medication that isn't covered and spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars each month. This financial strain is compounded for middle and lower income families who may not have the resources to bridge the gap. Now consider this. When Canadians think about moving abroad, one of the biggest concerns is healthcare. Relocating means leaving behind a system they understand, even if it's flawed, and entering an unfamiliar one. Many countries require proof of private health insurance before granting residency, which can be prohibitively expensive. Families with pre-existing conditions face even greater challenges, as coverage costs skyrocket or, in some cases, become impossible to obtain. For many, the trade-off doesn't feel worth it. Leaving Canada might solve financial issues like taxes or housing, but the potential loss of accessible healthcare keeps them rooted in place. Even when healthcare costs are hidden, they play a significant role in the decision to stay. Money isn't the only factor keeping Canadians in Canada. Deep cultural and emotional ties make leaving an incredibly complex decision. Canada's multicultural identity, friendly communities, and sense of belonging create an emotional bond that's difficult to sever. Think about the small things that make life in Canada special: the vibrant local festivals, the warmth of familiar faces in your neighborhood, and the shared experience of snowy winters and summer barbecues. These aren't just memories, they're a part of what makes Canada feel like home. For many, the fear of losing this connection outweighs the potential benefits of relocating. Moving to another country means starting over, building new relationships, and adapting to a new way of life. That's not an easy task, especially for families with children or older adults who are deeply rooted in their communities. As stated by Government of Canada, Canada's social benefits like paid parental leave, universal health care, and a strong sense of safety provide a level of comfort that many are reluctant to give up. Even if financial pressures mount, the emotional pull of familiarity often keeps people from leaving. This isn't just about nostalgia, it's about identity. For many Canadians, their cultural ties form a key part of who they are, making the idea of leaving feel like losing a piece of themselves. If you think the financial and emotional hurdles of leaving Canada are tough, wait until you encounter the bureaucratic ones. Formally exiting the country involves a labyrinth of paperwork, legal obligations, and ongoing compliance requirements that make the process daunting. As revealed by Canadian government, Canadians planning to leave must declare non-residency status with the Canada Revenue Agency, CRA. This triggers a series of tax filings, including the dreaded exit tax on unrealized gains, which we've discussed earlier. But it doesn't end there. The CRA continues to monitor your ties to Canada, such as property ownership, bank accounts, and even family connections, to ensure you meet the criteria for non-residency. Navigating this process often requires professional help. Accountants, financial advisors, and lawyers become essential, adding thousands of dollars in costs. For those with complex financial situations, like owning businesses or holding investments in Canada, the process becomes even more cumbersome. Even after the paperwork is done, the challenges persist. Canadians living abroad must manage cross-border banking, pensions, and tax obligations. Many find themselves juggling two sets of financial rules, one from Canada and one from their new country of residence. This bureaucratic red tape is enough to deter even the most determined individuals. It's not just about leaving, it's about staying compliant and avoiding penalties long after you've left. For many, the hassle simply isn't worth it, leaving them stuck in a country they feel increasingly frustrated with. One of the most concerning consequences of Canada's challenges is the brain drain, the loss of talented, ambitious individuals who choose to leave for better opportunities abroad. Over the years, countries like the United States, Germany, and Singapore have become magnets for Canada's best and brightest, offering lower taxes, better career prospects, and more supportive environments for innovation. The impact of this brain drain is profound. When entrepreneurs, researchers, and skilled professionals leave, Canada's economy suffers, according to the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation. Businesses struggle to find qualified talent, innovation slows, and the country's competitive edge diminishes. This creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone, from small businesses to large corporations. For those who leave, the decision often comes down to frustration, high taxes, rising living costs, and limited opportunities make it hard to justify staying? Why continue to struggle when other countries offer a clearer path to success? However, the brain drain isn't just a loss for Canada, it's a warning sign. It highlights systemic issues that, if left unaddressed, could have long-term consequences for the nation's future. While some may argue that this is simply the cost of doing business in a high-tax, high-service country, the reality is that Canada risks losing the very people it needs to sustain its prosperity. Leaving Canada might seem like the perfect solution to its growing challenges, but as we've explored, the reality is far more complicated. From financial traps like exit taxes and housing crises to emotional bonds and bureaucratic hurdles, the barriers to leaving are numerous and deeply entrenched. But here's the twist we promised. Despite these challenges, some Canadians are finding innovative ways to thrive without leaving. Digital nomadism, for instance, allows people to work remotely from lower-cost countries while maintaining ties to Canada. Others are leveraging global investments in financial planning to navigate the weak Canadian dollar and high taxes. Before you go, make sure to check out our next video, Life in Cyprus, the land of gorgeous women and blue beaches, Cyprus documentary vlog. It's packed with fascinating insights and might just inspire your next adventure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.